Yeah, we're wearing the same clothes.
Yeah. Hey! Okay, I'll cut that part out. Sure awkward. Hey guys, so we're here with another video log. Clearly, we haven't changed if you watched my week 11 update. So we're just filming a few in the same day. So we can have some...
For you detectives out there.
Yeah, for everyone who's a detective, I don't wear this outfit every day. And, you know, because I wanted to make a few things, like when I have time I want to do it. And after the first video I put, there was a lot of suggestions for flexible dieting and prep and, you know, as a pro and this and that. So there's still a lot of, like, I guess, questions, confusion about flexible dieting or how I do it or whatever. So I kind of just wanted to go over, like, a rough outline of a few key points that I thought were really important. And anytime I get, like, super specific questions or, like, a few questions in a row, I guess I could probably do, like, a Q&A type thing. But I think this should clear a lot of things up, so hopefully.
Let's start with the origin of
where
this macros came from.
Started. Dr. Jill Klemensky. So if I butcher the story, I'm sorry. But basically, this, you know,
Rough storyline.
Rough story. He told us, Lane told. I've heard this story a few times. So basically, he was doing a prep and he had a meal plan and he wanted, I'm pretty sure it was peas. Like he wanted to have peas on his diet.
Instead of asparagus and broccoli.
It was instead of something, but it was very...
Another green and another vegetable.
Yeah, it was something. And he wanted to exchange that and the coach at the time said, no, you have to just stick to this. He's like, oh, well, I want to eat peas. And then that's kind of where it branched out of like substituting foods that you want that have the same kind of caloric value. And you get to eat more of what you like. So again, if I butchered that, I'm really sorry. But that's kind of where my whole take on it is. And a lot of people think that it's something different. But again, I'll reiterate. To me, flexible dieting means choices. That's it. You have the choice to choose, like just, you know, I get to eat XYZ this week instead of you can only eat XYZ. And it's really, really like simple and that seems really like silly. But over time, like, it forces you to think for yourself, forces you to be creative, and it actually teaches you how to live life without this set of paper, like of a set meal plan.
How I always refer to it is instead of giving a man a fish, it's teaching him how to fish, and you feed him for a lifetime.
Yeah, that one.
So instead of giving him a diet, aka giving him a fish, you're teaching them how to fish, and now they can plug and play and basically learn how to actually eat healthy for the rest of their life.
Yeah.
Healthy. So, yeah, we'll talk about that later.
Yeah.
Let's talk about your off-season macros.
Okay, so off-season macros, I am not as strict as a lot of people who follow flexible dieting. I think it is very important for people who have just started to learn how to do this. And I think it's really important at certain times to be super strict. Now, if you like being super strict and eating on your numbers all the time, then that is great. Like, you're going to have the optimal results. Like, there is no denying that that is the most optimal thing.
Like
my friend Katie, she's very, every day, she hits her numbers perfectly. And that's why she stays, like, super, super lean, and she's a freak, and she trains like a maniac.
And Lane.
And Lane, too. Like, they're both very, like, they follow their, and they love that. Like, that's their thing that they like. On the other hand, like, I get really, really tired of, like, religiously tracking. I mean, I always loosely track. But after, like, a really long contest prep, like, I'm kind of just like, oh.
Yeah.
So, for me, it's more of what I've learned is over time, from doing flexible dieting and being super, I guess, strict with your numbers for years, I know, like, what...
You have a good rough estimate of what you're eating
I'm
at all times.
It's not like I'm like, oh, I don't know what this is. Like, if it's something...
Even if we're going out to dinner, like, she can usually just round numbers off in her head.
Yeah.
Be like, all right, that'll fit. All right, good to go.
And, you know...
Hold the oil.
Yeah. We really enjoy eating out.
Kill you.
That's the only one.
That was a real Genghis grill.
Yeah, I kind of threatened someone if they put oil on my food. I was prepping. Had to get my point across. So, what was it? Oh yeah, we like to eat out. You know, we like to do things, and you know, there's
leading to the next point. We like to eat out.
Yeah, we like. Yeah, we're kind of fatties when it comes in food. Fatty foodies. Yeah, and I don't. Sometimes I just don't want to track something, right? Or I want to eat something that, you know, but I'm smart about it. That's not like an everyday thing, clearly. You know, I'm not, I'm just never going to track it. No. But like, to me, certain times, certain things
And
happen.
like sometimes you'll use that stuff as like a refeed.
Yeah, I'll use that as just, and what I found too is that my body kind of self-restricts certain other things. So like, I really like fats. So usually if I have a high fat meal, my body just naturally self-restricts carbs. Like I would rather, I'm going to have fat and protein, or I'm going to have something that's more carby and protein. And that's just, everything kind of comes, it evens itself out. And I do think it's really, really important to track. And but sometimes I think people will, because I go through this too, I feel bad if I don't hit everything perfectly, but I don't want that to be a turn off to people, because I think it can be. And
this is also after years of you learning what you're doing and being an experienced person.
Yeah,
to where
I've
you can
always
take a step back. And
I've always weighed my food since I was like, I don't know, like 18, you know what I mean? I've always weighed my food, I've always portioned my food. Even if I didn't know the macros per se, I always had like a measuring cup, I always like had whatever. And so I've always done that. I've always, tracked, and, I've always been really, really conscious of how much. So there are times when I think it's okay to not be so strict. And I think people, I just wanted to tell everyone that so you don't feel so confined to being perfect with your numbers. Because then, like, for some people, like, it becomes like an obsessive thing, and then that can be a problem. So I think the way that you track and you go about things should work for you. And if you don't have something coming up per se, don't sweat it. It's kind of like my, I guess, my approach. Yeah. Because then a lot of times that backfires psychologically. And, I went over 5 grams. Fuck it mode. Let me eat everything.
Just crush everything.
Yeah. And then that's also not good.
5 grams turns into 5,000.
Yeah. And you don't really want to do that. So just, it's okay to not be perfect off season or any time. I'm not saying you have to be perfect during prep either. I'm just, that's clearly a more dedicated time to everything being on point. But I think a lot of people need to find that happy medium in the off season.
Mm-hmm. And speaking of prep.
So
right on.
Prep and macros.
How does your off season change, or how does it off season kind of morph into prep?
Yeah.
It's not like it's bam.
No. Well, most of it is just, not going out and eating those untracked meals. I don't do that during prep. I don't say, let's go to a food and wine festival, during prep. I make smarter choices. I go out to eat all the time. I won't say all the time, but I go out and I do that kind of stuff. But everything is tracked. Everything is accounted for. And really my foods stay the same, honestly. Like my foods are never really like that different. It's just usually the amount. And of course those kind of like big untracked meals that I tend
every
to
once in a while,
like again, I'm not doing that all the time off season, but
you're too tired and too lazy and too brain dead to make an extravagant crazy meal.
Oh yeah, during prep, it's all about simplicity. I think that's another thing with macros and flexible dieting. People see like online, or just I always see online, but that's where a lot of the food pictures come from, and all these like multi-ingredient meals. And I think that's another turnoff for. I mean, it shouldn't be, because you shouldn't look at something and say, I got to do this. But some people see that and they're like, I don't want to do that. We don't have to do that. I never do that. If it doesn't have a few ingredients, I'm probably not making it. Especially during prep. Like, I mean, I'm talking about like, if I'm eating vegetables, like they better already be chopped up and ready to go kind of thing. And that's kind of important to me towards the end. So don't feel like you need to eat anything that's like kind of extravagant or multi-ingredient, or I stick to mostly simple foods that I like, that take kind of little to process and make.
You're turning our upgraded sticky note, iPhone note, is it's almost like a meal plan, but it's not, because
I'm choosing.
Yeah.
So what I end up doing a lot of times too is...
It's going to look a lot like it would if you're 4 weeks out on a meal plan. Yeah. It's going to look very similar to what she's eating 4 weeks out on a meal plan.
But it's the choice.
You might, what's your flavor saver at the end of a meal?
Are you talking about the acid one, right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. So when I prep, there's like little like low calorie things that everybody likes. So it's called a Yasso bar. It's like this Greek yogurt like popsicle thing, and they're really good. They're only like 15 or 16 carbs, 5 to 6 grams of protein, and like 0 to 2 grams of fat, depending on the flavor. Yeah. So very, very good macros, and like that's the kind of stuff that I eat when it's like a treat when I'm dieting.
That's the treat that keeps her from going crazy. Like that's
Yeah.
her. Oh my God, that's not on my meal plan.
Yeah, that's
food to eat.
And again, like instead of like, oh, you better be eating this broccoli. Well, what if I wanted the broccoli slaw instead? I love broccoli slaw. All about that. But do you know what I mean? So it's the choice, and it I eat a lot of the same foods because, to be honest, again, it's simple. And I'm not going to the grocery store like every day to buy something new. So I think a lot of people get turned off because they think, macros have to be a certain way, which it's not. It's literally just how you track your food, and it's a more accurate way of tracking your food and making a choice. And definitely check out the Yasso bars because they're really good. And for the last kind of point for this, which is off season and I guess prep, but for flexible dieting and like grocery shopping, I think this is kind of like a helpful like hint or tool for people. Basically, when I go shopping, I try to fill my cart with mostly nutrient-dense whole foods. That's what I like. That's what I've always liked.
And you're also getting
the macros, the fiber, all of that. Just a wide variety of stuff, which is what I think lacks on meal plans is variety. So I think variety is super, super important just for your overall health. So a lot of variety, but mostly, like I said, whole unprocessed stuff. And then I throw a few treats or fun stuff in there, depending on if I'm off season. Of course, it's going to be either more of said treat food or more calorie dense treat food. When I'm prepping, it's like
calorie dense is a better word.
Yeah, it's it's like a skinny cow or like a Yasso, or whatever, something like that. And I think that's important to include in there. And I think that kind of helps people when to like visually see, okay, I'm going to the grocery store, going to buy most of this, and then I have a few things sprinkled in. And that's kind of what I think your cart should look like. And I hope that helps, because a lot of people ask me about, grocery shopping and flexible dieting, what does it even look like and how is it so different from this or that? So yeah, that's kind of my biggest tip. Everyone's really different, so don't,
Yeah, do what you want to do at the end of the day.
That's really,
eat what you want to eat. But if you're looking at a healthy way to do it in a way that you can progress, a sustainable way, then if it fits your macros, it's probably a very viable option for you to use.
Yeah.
And that's whether you're a competitor or whether you're a normal health conscious person.
That's what I mean. All my clients who I work with, whether they're like non-competitors or competitors, that's like how I structure everything, because I think it's important. Like we talked about, it teaches you how to live your life afterwards. And so you don't always feel restricted to a certain diet.
We'll be like that 80-year-old couple in the grocery store.
Oh my God, yeah, they were they were like, this has 5 grams of sugar. I don't know if we should get this, sweetie. Like, that's literally going to be us. Except he will.
Road biking outfit.
Yeah. So, and the other thing with macros is people think it's really hard to do, and it's not. I mean, once the first, like, anything that you do, at first it's kind of like, ooh.
It's super annoying. The first time I did it, I hated it, but
so did I.
It only took like 2 weeks, and I'm like, wow, I really do eat a lot of the same foods like every day. I'm like, and by now, like, I don't track my meals now. I'm very, very loose, but I track my protein in my head. I'll have a rough estimate of like the amount of carbs that I'm eating, like in and around a workout, like things like that. Like, I'm not trying to be super lean, but if I have to, I could easily go back to
tracking.
If it's your macros, to try and make weight or something. Like, that's not.
Yeah, it's always.
I learned how to do it.
Yeah, so it can be used as a tool, or it can be used as your everyday life. So that's kind of what we try to show people. Like, look, you can use this, and then you get a better guesstimate of what all food.
It gives you a much better understanding of
an understanding
eating of food.
Yeah.
Like, they make that joke with like the picture of all I see is food anymore, but it's like the Matrix, and you see the numbers. It's funny, but it's like super accurate. Like, you understand what you're eating now.
Yeah. So
I think that's all we got, man.
Hopefully that helped and cleared up some questions. I tried to go over kind of a wide variety of topics with that. So yeah, let me know if you guys like this. Thanks. Bye.